In this episode of Viral Rewind, we're looking at the Virdem DOS virus, and we're looking at the 1542 variant. There's multiple variants of it out there, but this one here is probably the most common one that people get to look at because it has a full-screen graphical payload, which we'll see later in the video. So, this virus is one of those direct action infectors. So if I load it up here, there's a little bit of hard drive activity, and then it gives us a little printout there because from the virus thing. So as a direct action infector, this virus searches out any .com files that are on the hard disk. So usually it'll start with the .com files we have in the folder, which we can see in our directory tree there, and then work its way out across the whole disk of the system. So it's not a terminate, stay resident, or TSR like some other viruses tend to be, where they reside in memory after you load it and then infect files as you run them. This one will actually search them out every time the virus or an infected program with Virdem is loaded. It will search a .com file out on the disk and then infect it. And then when it gets toward the end of that is when we'll see the payload. So let me run this a couple times here. And as I stated, this has a full-screen graphical payload. And the payload activation on that is basically when it runs out of .com files on the disk to infect, and then it activates its payload. And it will not hold back infecting command.com or win.com if you've got Windows installed. So the system will boot up with the infected command.com with Virdem, and of course win.com will be infected as well, and then will become inaccessible when we reach the payload threshold. So I'm basically just going to keep running Virdem here at the command line until it's basically infected all the .com files on our 30 megabyte disk here, and then our payload should come up. So take a while. And you can see that the amount of time for each infection varies a little bit because of the size of the .com files that it's infecting. Smaller ones will load pretty quick. Large .coms will of course take longer to load to get infected. So I may skip ahead in the video here so we don't have to sit here watching me do this every time. And we'll just hurry up to the payload. I think I should have done this with a smaller amount. There it is. So here is our graphical payload. As you see, it's got this expanding diamond out here of multiple colors. And it's actually running quite smoothly here on this 10 megahertz 286 and the IBM PS1 here. And it's pretty much runs at the same rate even on faster computers, because I tried this on my Packard Bell Legend 100 CD with that socket 460 megahertz Pentium, and it runs just like this. And then even my 200 megahertz MMX Pentium Packard Bell, it runs at the same rate as well. The only thing I noticed is that maybe the colors of the payload may be a little different depending on the monitor that you're using. So whatever colors you're seeing here, that would make for an interesting comment section. What colors do you see? Hopefully we won't have another kind of dress discussion like what we had that one year. But anyway, again, as I say, you get this diamond graphical payload when all .com files on the system are infected with Virdem and there's no more to infect. I believe you can actually escape out of this. Yeah, you can. The only downside is that now that all the .com files are infected, those programs can no longer run. Because again, now that they're infected with the Virdem code is supposed to be looking for more .com files to infect, And if it does not have any more .com files to infect, it will just rerun that payload. So let me see here. And you probably noticed too that we're in the root directory now of C. We're not actually in DOS 12 anymore before we run the payload. It actually goes back to the root. So let's see if we can load up format.com. It's taking a little bit of time because it's searching for files to infect, and nope, there's no files to infect, so it brings the graphical full screen payload back up. Now for any of those that follow my TikTok, you would have actually seen this payload in advance, because I actually did kind of a little short 15-second teaser video on that showing the Virdem payload that you're seeing here on there. So if you're a follower on that, you'd probably be able to see some of the stuff that I'm working on presently, whether it's malware stuff like this or some of the other projects. So if you want to see what's going on ahead of time, you might want to look at the TikTok that I have there, because again, I'll post some stuff every now and then of what I might be working on, including stuff like this. So with that, there's not really much else to talk about with the 1542 variant of the Virdem DOS virus. There you have it. Basically direct action infector of .com files, and when there's no more .com files to infect, you'll always get this full screen graphical diamond payload coming up on the computer regardless of the date or anything. So with that, that's pretty much it for the Virdem DOS virus.